Hello, I'm Graham Simpson and here's a quick review of the new Feiyu Tech AK2000 gimbal. I've been a big fan of Feiyu Tech gear for quite a while now. I had an original G6 for the GoPro that I used to have. Just loved it. Loved the idea of what it could do and all the stabilization and things. Loved it. So as you see here, I've got the older one, which is the A2000, which was the stronger version of the A1000. Really nice gimbal. Used it a few times, especially for vlogging and stuff, and a couple of documentaries and other projects that I'd worked on. Really good. But some of the new features of the AK2000 really just made me want to upgrade. So let's talk through the main things. First off, you may notice with the A1000, the motor was set back. On the A2000, it was sat on the horizontal. On the AK2000, they've continued this slope back method, which is brilliant because now you can see the screen so clearly from most angles. You know, you'd have to be there before you can't see it, but most angles you will see it, which is brilliant. No more trying to peer around a motor and make sure you can see what you're doing. A lot of these screens in daylight, if you're not straight onto them, you can't see them. So that's a brilliant plus. You may have already spotted one of the other main features is the control system here. The new AK2000 has this really clever touchscreen and this wheel, which I'll get onto in a bit, and the old one clearly just has 2 buttons and a joypad. There's a trigger on the back on both, and there's now a new button on the side of this one here for accessing a menu. So let's power them both up. Let's do this one first. You have to hold this one a bit longer. There's your beeps. Let's power this one up. Exactly the same, nothing to them, just very basic on this one. Your only indication as to what's going on is that light that flashes there. This one, you now have all of that screen to tell you what's going on. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So let me power you down. I'm going to go through the screen now, and I'll bring this one back in a bit so that we can talk through just some of the other changes. Just talk through some of the other changes that have gone on. So let's bring this back to me here. So as you can see on the screen here, there's loads of various options. You have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and battery status. That's exactly what it says on the tin. The Wi-Fi or the Bluetooth mode is how your phone connects to this, so it connects to the camera. There's a lot of varied ways of connecting. If you're wanting to pull the follow focus on this, you actually have to use the Feiyu Tech app to pair your camera to your phone to the gimbal. Make sense? It's not in the manual. That was a lucky find, but yeah, you have to pair it as you would if you were using like the image app, for example, for the Panasonic. You just pair the Feiyu Tech app. You can't use it for pulling images through or anything like that. You don't see what you're doing, but to enable the follow focus, because it's focused by wire, that's what you need to do. The next row says there HF. That's for what stabilizer mode you're in. So there with HF, it's horizontal follow. I'll press it again to TF, which is obviously tilt follow. And if you can work out what AF is, which is all follow. So now we have tilting, rolling and pitching and everything. I'm not quite sure why you would want that mode, but hey ho. And then there's one more, which is lock. So now that locks everything. So you've got torchlight mode that way. Really good. So spread these legs back out again, put that there. Now on the previous versions and most gimbals these days, there is a trigger on the back. So if I just double tap that, it puts the camera back to its base position. On the right here, you'll see this, what looks like a big C. This is with using the wheel. You can now move the camera. If I change it to that one, it does the horizontal. And if I really want to do the roll, emulate them on a boat, it will do that. So double tap that again. and that'll change that. Press it, so you make sure you get it on the right setting. And on the left, at the moment it's got a magnifying glass. That's if your lens has the and the camera, I guess, has the capability to zoom. I'm not sure what models or what lenses have that capability, but yes, you could zoom in and out now by pressing that one and pulling your wheel. But if I press that again and connecting with the app, I can now pull focus. I can only pull focus in normal modes. So if on this GH4, for example, it's the 4K mode or the 1080 50p. If I go to the variable frame rate and put it to 96, I don't have any control over the follow focus. So just something to bear in mind. 50 frames is still really good, but if you're wanting to really slow it down, then you have to go back to manual mode. You then have your joystick. As with all the others, you can change all the speed settings within the app. I'm not sure if you can do it on there, I haven't got that far. Start your video mode, take a photo, and everything else is on that one. That changes your mode, so if you don't want to touch the screen. So there you can see I'm changing horizontal focus. Oh no, it's lock mode, sorry, I've got that completely wrong. So by pressing this one, so whatever mode I'm in, so I'm now in horizontal, I can lock that instantly. So I don't have to go through all the settings, I can just lock it straight away. I've just learned something. And also there's this button on here. It's just one button, but now if I press that once, you'll see on the screen there it goes with a red outline and it's got a padlock. I now can't do anything to that screen, so it now locks all settings. So if I press it again, that's now unlocked and I can go into the settings. So I'm not going to go through all these settings now. I'm still learning them. But one of the quickest and nicest ones I found was the auto rotation settings. This is where you can specify how quick or how slow you want the auto rotation to happen if you're doing time lapses, for example. So you can slow it right down. And also if you're having it trigger photos, is at the interval mode and the dwell mode as well. Just a thing to bear in mind with this auto rotation mode is if you are doing it as a video, it pauses. So as it goes to its interval, so it'll move for 5 seconds and it will pause for however long you've set your dwell. So you obviously have to have the dwell lower. So if for example, here I've got the interval is at 5 seconds and the dwell is 1, so it will move for 5 seconds, very, very slowly, depending on how fast I've set the speed at the top and bottom. So it'll move for 5 seconds, it will pause for 1, and then move for 5 seconds, pause for 1. So if you're doing it as a video that you intend to speed up, it will be quite jerky. So that's possibly something to bear in mind. It'd be nice just to set that to 0, that if you are doing it as a video, it won't stop at all, but that's the only option you've got in there. There's loads of other settings. Now, if your camera is connected by the little cable that plugs into the plate, you also have the ability to change your exposure settings and your ISO settings, all within there. So you haven't got to touch your camera at all. It's going to save so much time. And if you're changing your transition from outside to in or vice versa, so you could make quite simple changes to the camera without having to stop the shoot or touch the camera when it's on there, so you don't get any shake. Absolutely brilliant. So let's go back to comparison to the A2000. I've lost balance on that one. I haven't set it up right, but the feet, big change. Big change on this one. On the A2000, it's got plastic, very strong. I have faith in them, but it's plastic feet. This one now has metal, really tough, well-made metal, and a really wide, low-profile spread. So it's not going anywhere. I would feel quite happy putting that on a slightly uneven surface and not worrying about it falling over. I feel that's got quite good traction. One of the other things that they've changed, which is brilliant, let me just turn you, if I put you in lock mode, come out of there, you're in lock mode. That's, can't turn you, but if you see here, all the thumb screws on the outside of the gimbal, so the one at the front here, the one at the top, and the one at the bottom, they're just round knobs, which you don't quite get the same amount of leverage. They've now changed it for more like thumb levers, so you really can nip them up. Some of the times walking around with this when you're not shooting is that they would come loose, so suddenly your camera is shaking all over the place because it's lost its balance. These, you can really nip them up and sort of have a bit more faith that they're not going to go anywhere. So obviously the next thing to do is take it outside and do some test footage to show you. As I said earlier, I'm not able to shoot variable frame rates with the GH4 and GH5 and maintain focus. So the best I can do is HD at 50 frames a second and slow that down. Still be really nice, but having that slow-mo just really smooths out again any little bumps that this may be doing. But I will show you the raw footage and then I'll show you some slow footage and you can sort of work it out for yourself as to what it is. I'll probably stay with this lens, the 24-105. I won't be zooming in, I'll stay at 24. I may just put the 24mm that I've got on. Just wider's more forgiving on these gimbals. Zooming in just adds more and more shake. But I will show you both types of shots and we'll see what we get from there. So here's a few shots, I hope you like them. So you've seen me walk around with a gimbal, you've seen the shots now. Weight-wise, there's not a lot in it, considering. In comparison to the A2000, you can't really tell. I've tried to put the similar sort of weighted cameras on so it feels the same. The biggest difference is that this now has 4 batteries to give you 12 hours rather than the 2 batteries which gives you 6. They give you 4 batteries, but you have to take 2 batteries out if you're 2 extra batteries out with you if you're going anywhere. So they're now extended in there, which is no big thing at all because now it actually gives you a bigger grip. It's a lot more comfortable holding this one, surprisingly. And the legs as well give you that extra purchase, so you can really get a good, if you really need to focus on the shot, you can really get it quite smoothly with that one. The thing I'm hoping that they fixed, I haven't had a problem yet, is on the A2000, is that the rubber on the handle would ride up over, so you'd end up slipping. I'm hoping that they fixed that problem on this one, but that's about it. I've got no problems. I don't feel the need to add a dual handle. I quite like this as is. The only thing I have bought, you do get one with the AK4000, but with the AK2000 you don't, but I have bought a separate extension pole just so that that would now sit somewhere up there, just to give you a bit more leverage if you're wanting to get more movements, more sweeping movements. You'll just be able to have more control with that, I feel. So it's very, very light. Cost me about £15 off. I bought it on Amazon. It's £15. There are a couple of cheaper ones on eBay, but yeah, I thought that would do the job. as an optional extra. So I really like it. I'm really impressed. The build quality has gone up. It doesn't feel or look as plasticky. It looks very, very similar, but I'm very, very impressed so far. So thank you for watching. There's a link below if you fancy buying one for yourself. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you want more videos like these. And I hope to see you again in a future video. Cheers.